And to get started, we would like each of our panelists to introduce themselves and also the nature industry that you are part in. And perhaps we can start with Sir Sam.
Yes, thank you, Frimsel, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting us here. My name is Sam Padilla. I'm the Managing Director for Career Business Services Philippines. So let me start first with Bayer. Bayer is an organization, is a life science company. So we are here to solve the world's biggest problem. So on one part, we are an agriculture company. We are actually the world's biggest agriculture company. And we are also a healthcare company taking care of medicine, so to treat different types of cancer as an example, and of course self-care. In the Philippines, for sure, you know, Beroca, Rogen E, Claritin, and much, much more. But Bayer Business Services are actually a consolidation of different functions. So accounting, administration, source to pay, legal, creative design, and much, much more that we serve or we support the different entities across the buyer world. So looking forward for this session and hope to receive questions later on as well. Thank you, Frimsel.
Thanks, Sir Sam. We can go ahead and hear Miss Joyce.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and hi from Cell. So thank you for inviting us over here. So my name is Joyce Gomez. I'm the Talent Acquisition Manager of Offshore Business Processing Incorporated. So we are a BPO company that is operating 24/7 across the globe. And we have two sites here in Manila. So one is specifically located in Pasig City and the other one is located in Cubao, both within the business district. So I'll be sharing more about the company later on, and I'm pleased to meet everyone here. So I'm hoping that you're having a happy Tuesday. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Joyce. And just to give an overview, prior to me joining to an edtech company, so Prospol is an edtech company based in Australia. And we're the technology behind Grad Philippines, Grad Australia, and Grad New Zealand. Prior to me joining this industry, I was also part of the BPO industry for about 10 years. I was once a training and quality supervisor prior to my movement. So it's really an organization that's close to my heart as well. So thank you, Joyce. And we can move along with Sir Joey.
So good morning, everyone. I'm Joey Carag. I'm from Synchrony Global Services Philippines. But our basically company is named Synchrony in the US. We are basically a premier consumer finance company in the States. We handle a lot of financing programs across all key industries, including retail, health, automotive, even in home care and what they call this veterinary medicine. No? So here in the Philippines, we are a call center. We're a captive call center, and we do customer service and collections for our bank in the US. And we have two sites, one in Alabang and one in Cebu. And yeah, happy to be here and as part of the panelists.
Thank you, Sir Joey. I'm pretty sure we have a lot of attendees who are also interested to join your company. Thank you, and let's move along to Andre.
Hi, good morning, Firmcell, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Andrew Lee from Qiagen Business Services Manila. So pretty much we are a shared services organization that supports Qiagen's business. Now, in the GFP, Qiagen is a German provider of sample and assay technologies for molecular diagnostics, applied testing, academic and pharmaceutical research, and we operate in more than 35 countries in over 25 countries. Now, to put it simply, we are quite relevant today that we are in the pandemic. Unfortunately, of course, however, the core business of Qiagen really is providing sample to insight. We work with scientists and we currently employ scientists on site in our shared services organization. And yes, I'm excited to be sharing a few more details or a lot more details later on, so please stay tuned.
Right, really exciting to hear what you can share with a group of students that we have right now. And last but not least, Sir Axel.
Good morning to our viewers. Hi, my name is Axel. I've been with the company Inspiro since 2017. I'm one of the site lead for talent acquisition sourcing for Luzon. I am handling recruitment partners, recruitment events, and university tie-ups as of the moment. Inspiro established way back 2003, one of the leading BPO companies, and operating with over 51 delivery centers all over the Asia, North America, and Latin America, approximately with over 32,000 employees right now. And we started out as Parlance, EPLDT Ventos, then transferred to SPI CRM, and right now Inspiro. So we are under Relia group of companies. Relia is an international BPO company, contact service provider based in Japan. They acquired us because they want to expand and bring more opportunities here in the Philippines. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this session and for the questions earlier. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Axel. So it's really a good mix of different sectors that we have right now. And for those who have just joined our session, we just introduced our panelists. We'll spend a couple of minutes with them. We'll ask a couple of questions. So if you have any questions you would want to ask, our panelists right now, you can just type it in the chat box and we'll be more than happy to share those questions. And while we're waiting, because our participants, based on the registration form that we have seen, we have students from University of Santo Tomas, we have students from Mapua, from TIP. We also have students coming from Mindanao State University. So this is really a big group and diverse group of students interested to this sector. So just want to ask this group, what do you think is the most important piece of advice that you can give the students aspiring to work for an organization within the BPO or shared services? So anyone who would like to, you can go off mute and share your responses.
All right, I am willing to go first. So if there
Thank
would
you,
be
Miss
one
Joyce.
thing that you're welcome. So if there would be one thing that I would want to share with all of you, graduates or soon to be graduates out there, is that you have to persevere, or you have to mix it up with some hard work. And just to share some quote with you, it would be: the key to success is action, and the essential in action is perseverance. We've seen in this industry how a lot of people started from the very beginning, how they started with this much of experience, and then gradually, because of their perseverance, their willingness to learn more about the industry, learn more about their craft, and also the tasks that they are doing on a daily basis, that's when they were able to progress. So you might think that it would really take a while, but if you are really hardworking and you put in more quality work, then definitely you'll become more successful in your line of work or in your craft. So that's one thing that I would want to share with everyone. So welcome again to Prospo and this discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Joyce. Hardworking really would go a long way. And anyone, probably Andre, would you like to share what would be, good advice you can give our students here?
Sure. I still remember when I started working, but let's not talk about yours, of course. Now, one piece of advice that I have for everyone is to start getting into the habit of delivering the world's best customer experience. If you think about it really, pakikipagkapwa-tao is quite normal for us, is essential, and is organic for every single human being. And that can easily translate into quality customer experience for everyone, regardless of your role, regardless of your post. Make sure that you're able to do that with your colleagues, with your customers, with your stakeholders, because at the end of the day, we are here to support each other's business, each other's needs, and what have you. And what better way to start your career but by making sure that you have that pakikipagkapwa-tao and customer experience nailed down to the T.
Right, thank you. Good point in there. Most of I would say most of the clients that you might have had moved and get Filipino companies because naturally Filipinos are very hospitable, very warm. And so it is sort of ingrained to us. So, pakikipagkapwa-tao is something that not just you can do with your customers, but with everyone else. Thank you, Andre. Anything you can add on that?
For himself, let me add. No? So, aside from the pakikipagkapwa-tao, joining a company, at least for our graduating talents or fresh grads or early in their career, joining a company is actually a commitment. So parang relationship yan. So my tip is to
Agree.
spend time, research on that company, on that organization, and look for your second home. Always remember that going in working is not actually working, it's actually life. So you're gonna spend 70% of your time or more than of that at work. So I would suggest call your work home. So second home. So whatever you're looking for your home, probably you can mirror that when you scout for organization. Remember, they're not only scouting for you, you're also scouting for the best company out there. So hope that helps.
Right, it does. That's the great idea to be remembered by our attendees right now. You'll spend being in the workforce for more than 10 years. You would spend a lot of hours with your workmates. So it's best to find a home you can be in. Thank you, Sir Sam. Anything you want to add on that, Sir Joey?
Yeah, piggybacking on Sam, no, it's correct. No, whenever choosing a company right off the bat from graduation, no, you have to make sure do your research and ensure that the company you're joining fits the values that you believe in as well. Because as Sam mentioned, this is your life. This is going to be your life for the next few years, or maybe for your whole career, no. So just to give you a background, no, I met Sam a long time ago in GE. He's a good friend of mine. We just basically lost touch a few years back. But I've been with GE since 1999. Synchrony, if you don't know the history, was part of GE before. So I actually never really left the company, no, because that's one good example I think with what Sam has mentioned. No, make sure that you like the company you join, and maybe luckily you'd be like me, and spend your whole life working for that company. Aside from that, now going back to our sector, to the BPO industry, and more so the call center industry, which is mostly US based, no, you have to be willing to work at night. Okay, that's
All
very
right.
important now, because most of the early attrition we have from fresh grads and from newbies in the call center industry is based on them not being able to adjust to the time, the work time now, which is basically US time. So that's one very big factor as well that you have to consider. You have to be willing to work at night, graveyard shift. I actually just came from a shift, and
I
but
know.
yeah, it's a commitment basically. Yeah, it's a commitment that you have to basically be sure that you are willing to do. Okay, so I don't really believe in since some people might say I'm a fresh grad, there's so many things to do out there, I'll just test the waters. I don't believe in those in that type of thinking. So I'd rather look at someone, and when I talk to someone, when I interview someone, I'm looking for someone who is willing to commit. That's very important.
Right.
Yep, I
Thank
hope
you.
I answered the question.
Yeah, it did. It did. You did, Sir Joey. Thank you. Aside from researching, it's really important that you're sure that this is something you want to get yourself into, right? And Axel, anything you want to add on what the other panelists have mentioned?
Yeah, just to add to the question, what important piece of advice I would like to give to the students? Probably the jobs are not meant to be easy. You need to really work hard in all aspects to succeed, and know what kind of industry you want to be part with. And once you go all in, everything will follow. BPO sector is quite challenging, as we all know, but also rewarding at the same time. So that's it.
Thank you, Axel. And I know that so far we have reached more than 100 participants in this session. So we're roughly around 120-ish students joining, and the numbers are still increasing. So so this is really a very productive, and we're reaching a lot of students. Now, most of the students are graduating. What is your organization looking for in an application? So if they apply and want to be part of your organization, maybe shared services or BPO, what characteristics or probably skills are you looking for?
For us, Joey already mentioned that values. So in let's say most or all of the multinational companies or all companies, they have this corporate value. So for Bayer specifically, our values is life, no? LIFE, easy to understand. So for those who will be applying, so we look for certain attributes: leadership, integrity, flexibility, efficiency. So very easy to remember. So let me go through it quickly. Leadership, basically we're looking for talents who has that passion to deliver for our customers, patients, and farmers. So meaning you will see that, you know, based on the interview. Integrity, I think everyone has this, that you do the right thing all the time, even when no one is looking. Flexibility, in this day of age, it's everyone is expected to adapt to the fast changing environment. In the recent pandemic, everyone was able to adapt, but more than that, things are changing every now and then. We're acquiring companies, we're spinning off companies, and this is a big change that people are expected to adopt. And of course, efficiency. If you're looking for a boring work, this is not the place to be. Basically, in Bayer and in the service center industry or BPO, things are fast. So and that we expect people to challenge the status quo, raise their hand, because we believe that, you know, that the talents who are closer to the work can actually change things in the organization. So these are the attributes that we're looking for when we interview talents.
Okay, thank you, Sir Sam. It's very easy to remember life. um, Probably, Andre, would you like to share something that, you know, your organization is looking for an application?
Well, on top of the details that Sir Sam has mentioned, of course, we are there are niche roles that we're looking for. In a more general sense, I'd say for newbies, particularly for fresh graduates, don't be afraid that you don't know everything, because no one expects you to know everything in the first place. But what we're looking for and what we highly appreciate would be individuals who have the willingness to learn, who are willing to bend over backwards to find out, and to be able to reach point A to point B to all the way down to point Z for our customers and for our colleagues, of course. Now, we have this culture in our company where we welcome all our all applications, I'd say, and we actually make sure that we profile these applicants to whichever role they're applying for. And at the end of the day, for our fresh grads, don't hesitate, don't have reservations applying. Organizations these days, and all organizations, I'd say, have this thing going on for them where they want to make sure that the candidates are right profile and are set for success, of course, for whichever role they're applying for.
Thank you. I totally understand. We want to make sure that everyone is successful. That's the same mission that Prospel really wanted. We want to make sure that every student would have the best jumpstart to their career and have that informed decision. Thank you, Andre. Ms. Joyce?
Yes, hello again. So in particular, I would say that we are looking for fresh graduates or soon-to-be graduates who will be willing to work with us. So again, this is a BPO setting. So most likely, Sir Joey is correct when he mentioned that you have to be flexible. So while we are an Australian-owned company and most of our clients are Australian-based, so meaning to say most of the employees get to have day shift schedule, there would be a lot of times or possibilities when you need to adjust to the other shifts at the same time. So you can go for mid shift, you can also go for a graveyard schedule. So you have to have that flexibility or that willingness to adapt to that kind of schedule. And of course, we are considering, with or without related experience, college graduate or college undergraduate. We are actually looking for students who are proficient in terms of using the computer, basically the MS Office applications. And in particular, you have to master, being able to relate or interact well with different levels of the organization, because more than working with your colleagues, you're going to be working with your team leader, with your team manager, and at the same time there would be a couple of instances when you have to face the client and work with the client in dealing with some of the questions that they may have. So confidence is also another key that we're looking for in our candidates. So it doesn't matter if you don't have that much experience yet, that would be perfectly well, because we're going to be looking for people with more personality and more commitment, like the commitment to stay for the longest time, people or new hires who are going to be willing to know what they want and that they would want to stay with us or possibly grow and hone their career with us more than just, staying for just a few months and then eventually realizing that, hey, I'm not really up for this job. So I would say that everything which Sir Sam and Sir Joey mentioned earlier would make perfect and total sense. So we're looking for someone who's going to be trainable, willing to learn, and I'm pretty sure that most of you here in this room are willing to learn, and team player and can work best in a work environment or in a fast-paced environment. And of course, amenable to work in either Pasig or Cubao, Quezon City. Although right now we're currently work from home, so we provide equipment. So I think that would be all, and that would be enough for this role. So there's also a huge possibility of us later on shifting to working on site if things go smoother or if the pandemic is not really that bothersome anymore. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Joyce. And also important to note that these companies here, for especially for the students, it's best to really understand the nature of their business. And if you go to ph.prospol.com, you can actually apply to these companies as they're also hiring fresh graduates and students. So thank you, Ms. Joyce. How about you, Axel? What are you looking for your fresh grads or new hires?
Yeah, for Inspiro, we're actually even considering minimum qualification. We're even accepting high school graduates with or without experience. All of our recruitment processes will be done virtually. You can even land a job at home. We have openings both for working at home and an on-site position. I just want to highlight aside from the skills that mentioned earlier, I just want to highlight the commitment just because commitment is top attrition as reason for fresh grads or the starters. They haven't quite sure yet if they are willing to do the responsibilities or the work arrangement in terms of the shifting, if it's on-site and all that. So I just want to highlight the commitment. We're looking someone who really want to stay in the company. You just need to show your interest and understand the job. It's important on the BPO company that you know very well the responsibilities and type of environment we have on the BPO sector that largely include the work schedule. So that's it.
Thank you, Axel. Indeed, commitment is really, really important. And last but not least, Sir Joey.
Yeah. All the things that we've just heard basically are correct. But in our company, basically, it's quite simple. In our setting, we have, let's say, Prospel is Australia-based. We are US-based, and the other companies, I guess, are similar. So what's very important is the English communication skills of the person who's applying. So that is our top priority, somebody who can speak and communicate well in English. So aside from that, of course, computer skills is important since they'd be, using the computers 8 hours in a day. Okay. But besides that, we're not really that choosy. We just require 2 years of college completed at least. We're still not ready to, consider senior high students. I think there's in the Q&A section, there's someone asking, no, so we're not ready for that yet because we are a financial company. We work with credit cards, financials, and banking. So we want somebody with at least a more mature level of thinking. So that is very important to us. That's why we want somebody who has experienced college already at least for 2 years. But besides that, no, leaving the skills aside, no, we're looking for someone who is driven, okay, and bold, okay, somebody who basically would push himself to, succeed in the company, somebody who's bold enough to, speak out and share his ideas for the improvement of whatever process they're handling. And of course, as everybody mentioned, the integrity and honesty will always come into play as well. I think that would be one of the top values we have. And somebody, since we're in the customer service industry, no, somebody who is who cares a lot. who cares for the customers, who cares for his colleagues. That's very important. More so nowadays during this, this pandemic, post-pandemic. There are a lot of people basically in the financial realm. No? There are a lot of people who are having problems financially and everything. So it's very important that when you deal with them on online or on the phone, that you care, you have empathy with them, you understand where they're at basically financially, and what problems and how you can try and help resolve those problems. So it's very important to be caring. So I think that's for me the top value that we are looking for in a person. And of course, all the other things would be considered as well. Somebody who wants to work at, who's willing actually to work at night. Somebody who is, willing to do overtime as well, because there are times, wherein, you'd have to extend your work hours, because there are a lot of things to do aside from taking the calls. But one thing nice about the call center industry, I think, I've never experienced being a call center agent or a customer service rep. But one thing I see that's I think would be nice if the person is would like a stress-free life is, once you're a call center representative, you basically work for 8 hours on the phone. After that, unlike other industries and unlike other jobs within the call center as well, no, when you go home, you don't have to think about your job anymore, and you can concentrate on your family. Okay, and whatever personal things you do, no, because it's not the type of a job that you have to bring home and still think on what I have to do next tomorrow. Yeah. So leave that to us leaders, leave that to your managers, no. But to start off, I think it is a very hard job. You have to be willing to sacrifice a lot of things, no. But at the end of the day, you can basically just sit down and relax and have a cup of coffee or whatever at home. Yeah, we are actually working from home right now, temporarily until everything is fine and safe enough for people to start going back to work. We provide all the tools needed as well. We deliver everything. You don't have to go to the office to pick anything up. And yeah, I guess that's it. I think number one is caring. Number two is honesty, and then the rest are basically hard skills that can be learned in school and out and online. Yeah.
Right, thank you, Sir Joey. And you've touched on whether, because we have a student asking, are you accepting senior high school? So for Synchrony, they are most likely would want at least a second year college. For the rest of the other companies, just so we can address one of our attendees' question, are you accepting senior high school students? And how can we build careers with you in case this is what we were able to achieve so far? Anyone from our panelists who would like to answer that?
Yes, I can. Sorry, what can you repeat the question, Frimser, just to be very sure?
So are you accepting senior high school? How can we build careers with you in case this is what we were able to achieve so far?
Yes, we have discussed that. We are currently discussing that. We want to support the, let's say, Philippine education system, no? That's why we have the senior high school. And the only way we can really test that is that if we go for it. So we want to try that. We're now opening, or we have open roles actually for not only senior high, but regardless of, let's say, your undergraduate in college or senior high, no? So, and in terms of the question of where they can go in their career, something like that, I think if I remember the question, once you are in the company, you will be the same as everyone else. So there's no like second class citizen just because you are undergraduate or whatsoever. So if the others can be promoted, you can also be promoted, because at least in Bayer, you yourself drive your own career. So if you're planning to, just go to the site, look for the jobs there. We are actually hiring senior high school. Yeah.
Thank you, Sam. How about you, Miss Joyce? Do you also hire senior high school graduates?
Yes, I would want to also reiterate that we've hired a senior high school, and so far he has been staying with the company for more than 5 years. So that goes to show that we also give much respect to our senior high school potential candidates as much as we do provide the other college graduates and college undergraduates. So we also offer opportunities.
Right, thank you. In your case, Axel, do you also accept senior high school students?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
All
we
right.
even have openings for high school grad, as I mentioned, both for agent and non-agent roles. So in terms of the career growth, we really believe on the employees or the assets that we have. So in terms of landing upper
Mhm.
position, so we look for someone who is within the team. So there.
Mhm. Thank you, Axel. And for Andre, you also accept senior high school?
Yes, so unfortunately at the moment, we only hire college graduates, but this is also something that we're looking into as the industry evolves, of course.
Mhm. Fair enough. Thank you. Now, some of them, we have a question. What are the good questions to ask during the interview session? I think this is coming from an applicant applying for a certain position. Are you considering, or, is it important that they ask questions? And if so, what are good questions they can ask?
Yes, I would want to answer that question first. So, if you have questions, it would really be best for you to clarify it during the interview. Do not be afraid to ask questions because, of course, the last thing that we would want to happen is for someone to be confused about something or not get enough answers. And of course, I believe that I saw another question that was posted earlier. And the question earlier was kind of related. So, it's mostly about, is it enough being enough to visit the website, company website, or is it best to, call and reach out to the company? So I believe that each and every one of you should do your research, make sure to visit the website, and the website is not all. So you can also check out the other social media pages. Before, from way back, that was exactly what I was doing. So I tend to check the Facebook page, I tend to check the Instagram account just to see if there are enough engagement activities and are they promoting their employees? Do they have enough growth within the company? Or is this a company that I would want to go for? So there, you can go check out each and every social media means, even the job portals like JobStreet, Indeed, they also provide some hints about what the company has to offer. And most of all, if still in doubt or if there are some things that go unanswered, then you can just go ahead and call the company, send them an email, check out as to what their email addresses are and reach out to them. And for OBP, that's something that we normally do. We reach out and we answer each and every questions fairly. As long as there are candidates reaching out to us, there will be no stupid questions. So just feel free and go ahead, ask questions.
Right, agree on that, Ms. Joyce. Anyone else who would like to share or answer that question?
Yeah, let me jump in there. So it's quite simple, no? So since we expect that you've done your research and you've read the job description thoroughly, it would be good that your questions would be based on the company, the background of the company, and of course, more importantly, the position you're applying for. No, um, good questions basically would be based on maybe asking what the org structure is, um, what the again mentioned that somebody mentioned that what the opportunities are after you're hired. Would it be what steps would you have to take basically to be promoted within the company, and how soon would the promotion be waiting for you. Next is ask questions that um are related to the job itself, like how often would you expect me to do a certain task, and if some of the parts of the job description is not clear to you, that's the time you would basically, that's also the time you could ask those questions. You don't just in an interview, it's not just basically you answering the questions of the interviewer. Okay, the interviewer is also there to ask any questions or give any clarifications that are needed based on what you know about the job and based of what you read on the job description. So that's very important that you're not shy, and you basically ask everything you want. I guess the only thing that I think, okay, I don't know if everybody will agree with me, just don't ask if you pass the interview or not. So you can just wait for that afterwards. No? They give you feedback. A good company would always give you feedback after all the interviews are done. No, but right at the onset of the interview, once you end the interview and the interviewer asks, "Do you have any questions?" Please don't ask if you passed or not, or if you did well or not. Make your questions a bit more beefy, a bit more relevant to what you're applying for, and what is relevant to the interview and the position. Yep.
Right. Thank you, Sir Joey.
Perhaps just to add to what Joey said, I think it's a tip that we can give to the applicants, that it's not only you who's asking for a yes, it's also us as companies. So meaning that we also want you to accept our job offer, which means that we are more than willing to answer any question that you will have, because it's a two-way street, right? So I hope that gives you the comfort level, because when you go to the interview, the interviewers as well, or me during my experience, I want you also as candidates to get the best experience in that interview, so that when we go to the job offer round, you will also say yes to the offer I'm looking for. So we're more than happy to, of course, answer the questions, and of course values is important. Look, ask the questions that can, that can jive with your values, and your motivation, your values. Ask these questions so that if you find that match or perfect match, then that will go to the succeeding steps that you will also answer to our job offer of saying yes to us.
Right. Thank you. I think Andre would like to share something as well.
Yes, just to piggyback on what Sir Sam mentioned. So it's a two-way sales pitch altogether. Not only are you selling yourself into the job, but we're also selling the job to you. So being inquisitive is definitely going to come in handy. Ask questions with regards to the specifics of the role, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you are signing up for a role, for a job, and your organization that you will be comfortable staying in, that you will be willing to go the extra mile to work with, of course. And like what our panelists mentioned earlier, you're going to be spending a whole lot of your time at work. We're talking about work-life integration even. So asking questions that are related to culture, how the company works, and how employees exactly are going to be extremely helpful. So don't be afraid to ask questions, for sure.
Right. Thank you, Andre. There's also an interesting question in the chat box. What's your advice for those who didn't graduate from the prestigious universities? Do you still look for the school where the job seeker came from? Basically, is their university or college
No.
important when they get the role? Very upfront. Thank you, Sir Joey. So it's a no for Synchrony.
Trust me, we don't choose any universities. I can attest that a lot of our top performers are not even from the top 4 universities.
Right.
So
Thank you.
it's all up to the person, basically. The education is secondary, because as we all know, no, everything that's taught in school we can't really apply everything, no. But maybe the foundation would be there. But it will all up to be the person, whether the person's hardworking and is willing to do the job and willing to sacrifice some time to learn the job and become an expert in it. That's what's more important than graduating from a prestigious university. Because we are in the Philippines, we know how our financial situation is here. Not everybody can afford to study in a good university, but there are universities that are even that are public, basically, and state universities that are even better, that have even better students, basically, than top universities. So it's all a mix. It doesn't really matter where you come from. It's really the person and what he's willing to do and what he's willing to learn as well. Yep.
Yeah,
Good to hear that.
Just to add, I like that, Joey, a fast no, right? So, but yeah, I think it's not important where you came from. It's what we can do together when you are now part of the organization. Of course, but there are also roles where we look for certain universities. I think that's a fact also, because there are courses where are very specific to certain universities, which is not being offered in other schools. No? Me, I'm a proud graduate of Philippine School of Business Administration, Quezon City. Represent. So, but yeah, I mean, it's not about the school. It's about your skills, your capabilities, your values, as I mentioned, the attributes that we're looking for.
Thank you, Sir Sam. How about Axel in Inspiro? Do you also look for certain universities or school?
Yeah, same with Sir Sam and Sir Joey. They uh, mentioned it, you know, really on point that we're in this BPO sector, in this kind of industry, we're not actually looking for what type of university that you're
Mhm.
already. I mean, it's a bonus, I guess. It's a bonus, but we really looking for someone that can do the job.
Right.
Can um, I mean, it's up to the person how far you can take your career in a BPO. So there.
Mhm. Good point. In relation to that, someone asked, I think this is Nikolai, asked, do you accept applicants whose degree is from humanities and social sciences?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Cool.
Again, just like Sam mentioned a while ago, no, it all depends on the position. But since we're talking about the call center industry, wherein most of our hires are for customer service, no, then it doesn't really matter what course you've taken.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But of course, for some support enabling roles, okay, we do look at that as well. But in general, for the customer service positions, we don't. And
Mm-hmm.
humanities is okay, and any course actually would be enough.
I think it's similar to most of the BPO and shared services. Now, one of the questions asked is what's the right asking salary for someone who just graduated, considering how difficult life is now? Maybe a tough conversation, open to anyone who would like to share that, pay grade range, or we should pass the interview first.
Yeah, pass the interview first. I guess I'd volunteer to answer that question. No? So I used to be like that when I graduated. No, I want this much in my first job. No, but it really won't do anything good to you, and it won't work. No, it will basically just delay your
Mhm.
employment. No, if you are choosy when it comes to your salary. No, but of course anything above minimum would be good enough. Okay, since just make sure that the company you're joining basically would give you opportunities to grow, would basically give you an opportunity to be reviewed yearly and get merit increases based on your
Mhm.
performance. But in our company, basically, I think we are proud to say that we are not down there at the bare minimum for the call center industry. We start at around 16,000 for entry levels, and at maybe max for the call center for the customer service reps, and a maximum of around 20 for those who are experienced in the field. No? But again, when it comes to entry level, we start at 16. But then
Mhm.
again, there are companies who offer lower. But if you think that company is better suited for you and your values, then go ahead. I don't think it would matter.
Best to
Just
gain
don't
experience.
accept anything below minimum, no? And report that company to Dole.
Fair enough, Sir Joey. So there, for students who would land a job with you, what would be the best advice that you can give them so you can help them survive or thrive in their first year? What shouldn't they do so that they can be reminded? Joyce?
All right, so I was about to jump in. So in terms of this, it's more of like, surviving the first year or your first year in the company. So the number one tip that we're going to be giving everyone here is attendance. So you have to make sure that you're there 100% of the time. Do not commit grave absences, grave tardiness. So this is actually the factor which the management considers as a red flag. So you have to make sure that you follow your schedule accordingly, because if you're going to be trained, if you will be absent or if you will be tardy, then it's likely that you're going to be missing a lot of the module or a lot of the discussion. And therefore, of course,
Mhm.
it will really impact how you adapt to your level or how you adapt to your responsibilities. So another thing that I would want to impart to everyone is that you have to learn as much as you can during the training period and the onboarding process. So ask questions, try to take note as to how the organization works or how can you possibly fit in the job. And of course, you have to build effective relationships. You need to make sure that you work harmoniously with a lot of people. And if ever there will be conflicts, because most likely you're going to be encountering certain conflicts within the organization, you need to know how to resolve it with utmost professionalism. So as much as possible, when you ask questions or whenever you try to prove your point, you need to make sure that you put in a lot of logic in your thoughts, and you're not supposed to offend everyone or anyone. So regardless if it's going to be someone who's an entry-level person or even the basic roles, you have to treat everyone with respect, and always adjust your expectations. So meaning to say, you might be expecting one thing from this company, and yet upon signing the job contract, you encounter a different thing and you're kind of disappointed. So you have to really adjust your expectations. So if you're going to go for a company, you have to make sure that you go for it, you're full-hearted about it, and you're pretty sure that you're going to be, building your commitment with the company. And if you're determined to do just that, you have to make sure that you adapt well, and as I mentioned, adjust your expectations. And you need to acquire new knowledge, new learnings and skills, because these are the things that will really help you grow within the company within the next couple of years. Okay, and you have to understand and cope with the culture, because one company's culture is going to be different from the next. Right? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Joyce. Andre, would you like to share some tips on, what they have to do, they can't do in their first year?
Sure. So starting your first job is nerve-wracking, so don't do it. Just kidding. So for starters, you agreed to that contract. You signed the contract. So you need to talk to yourself and really tell yourself that you're in it to win, and you're in it for the long haul, of course, and you don't owe anyone else but yourself to prove your skills and your capabilities, for one. Second thing, that apart from being compliant with the policies and procedures, and again, these are in place for everyone's for everyone's benefit. So magpasaway, follow the policies and procedures, just be compliant altogether, of course. And lastly, make sure that you have that first one-on-one session with your manager, your supervisor, and ask what's expected of you. Ask how you're going to be measured, your performance, your 6-month probationary period, how is it going to go like. So you're setting yourself up for success, and don't be afraid to ask for specific help, perhaps. Say if this is expected of you and you know that you're going to fall short in terms of experience or what have you, just be upfront about it and ask confidently for help, just to make sure that you're setting proper expectations with your manager, with your colleagues, and with the organization altogether.
So anyone else who would like to share whether, some tips?
Yeah, I wanted to add also. So for me, I wouldn't want to use the word surviving. So I think it's more of thriving and growing with us. I think, tips is to just be clear why you joined the organization, build network. And I think it's more of just have fun, enjoy it. So this is not you're not joining the army or something. It's actually live life. When you join an organization, as I mentioned, it's your second home. So live it, enjoy, have fun, be excited. Actually, it's more of being excited rather than being nervous about it. And I think to sum it all, just be kind and be genuine. Just be you when you join the company, and then everything else will be a natural consequence and will follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Sam. So let's go ahead and run through some of the open questions. Are there opportunities for professional development? If so, what do those look like?
I can start off with that now. So in Synchrony, basically we value continuous development, continuous training, continuous learning. No? We do offer a lot of training programs online. We have more than 5,000 modules for different soft skills, for different hard skills. No? And we also do give opportunities to high potentials and sponsor training programs for them as well. But I think the biggest thing we have right now is, as part of our benefits, is we do have a tuition reimbursement program for anyone basically who would want to complete their degree, because as you know, we do hire undergrads, so we basically would reimburse you for all the expenses as long as you pass. And this goes up to the MBA program. Basically, we also do sponsor. We do reimburse your tuition for MBA. So that is, I think, one of the biggest things we offer to our employees when it comes to learning and development, is that we give them the opportunity to gain a bachelor's degree and even an MBA degree if needed. Aside from all the internal training programs that we offer, we also do have an academy wherein high potentials are trained to move up the ladder and be leaders within the company as well. Just to share with you, when it comes to development in the company, our main principle basically is to grow organically. So we seldom, except for of course the entry jobs, which is customer service and collections, right? We make sure that all the other jobs that are opened internally, and that we basically promote people to those jobs and not hire externally as much as possible. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Joey. Axel, want to share something?
Yeah. For Inspiro, we have once you join the team, we have core benefits. One of them is Grow. We provide training sessions to our employees to help them become more efficient and effective. Grow is under our leadership program for performance team. They provide training programs to prepare to take a bigger role for these employees. We have Core Academy. We have 3 flagship programs, that's Ignite, Ascend, and Boost. Core Academy is offered to all of our Inspiro employees, employee that will undergo some sessions that will help them prepare for the next step of their career. And not only that, we even offer training session, not limited to our employees, but also to our aspiring candidates that potentially would like to join a BPO company like Inspiro. The program is aimed to prepare these potential employees to be part of the company. So yeah.
Thank you, Axel. So we have an attendee who's asking, are you accepting part-timer for students that want to be part of your company as early as they can? Are there any part-time options available? Probably in your respective companies, Sir Sam?
Yes, at least for us, we do from time to time also hire, let's say, a different mechanism for part-time, because it's a bit more difficult. But as I mentioned, like the senior high, we are also trying it. So for those who are, let's say, who are looking for a part-time, it's not something standard for us, but that's something that we would always want to try if someone reach out to us. So just reach out to us directly. I think for himself, you have our details, or for the candidates in this forum, in the registration also when you registered. So just reach out to us, and we will definitely look at that if there's an opportunity for it also.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Let me go ahead and check. Is it a good practice to send follow-up communication to the company after the job interview? Andre,
if the feedback
start?
is taking too long, I think it is. It is proper.
Okay.
It is okay. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Is it the same idea for you, Andre?
Yes, I totally agree with Sir Joy.
Okay. Would you be able to give us an idea how long would would it take for a feedback to be given to students? Should they wait a day, 1 week, 3 weeks?
Just to share, in our process, in our recruitment process for the call center jobs, for the customer service jobs, is once they apply, okay, we usually send an email, a text message, and we try to call them. So it's always 3, just in case one cannot answer. At least they read the text message. If they don't, if their cell phone is off, at least they have an email message from us as well. If they reply right away, then we would reply right away and basically give them a schedule for an initial interview. Then right after they pass the initial interview, we give them a link for the online assessment. Once they pass the online assessment, it usually just takes a day or two for us to schedule them for the final interview. Yep. So that's how quick it is in our industry now, as I'm sure you know that. So yeah, if you haven't gotten any feedback within the next 5 working days, then maybe it's proper to just give us a call. Yep, or send us an email message. Yeah.
Yeah, and probably that's one question that you can ask during the interview.
Yes.
As to when they can receive the feedback, right? We have a question in the Q&A portion that asks, is the work from home setup open for those with little to no BPO experience yet in the company? Even if they don't have experience, just to answer this question, anyone in the work from home setup would be available. I think one of the questions you can also ask during your interview is up to when they would be in a work from home setup, because some BPOs might have to transition back to a face-to-face setup. So that could be
Yeah.
something you might want to look into as well.
Agree with that.
Do you have a long interview process? Sometimes it takes time for recruiters to come back. Probably in your respective companies, is the interview process too long?
All right, so I would like to answer that question first. Now, for OBP, what we do is that we call the candidate. So you get to have the first interview with the talent acquisition. And typically, it will take us within the next 24 to 48 hours to provide you with an update with regards to your next schedule. But most likely, it's the day after. So if you get to have your first interview today, you get to have your next interview either this afternoon or up until by tomorrow. And then the final interview normally takes around 1 to 2 days after. So that's what the process is like with OBP.
All right, thank you, Ms.
Yeah,
Joyce. So
sorry.
yes, go ahead, sir.
No, please proceed. I'll follow after you.
No, it's okay, because I was about to wrap up the
I want to
session.
say also to set the expectation. It depends also on the roles, no? Because there are niche roles that when we hire, we look for the best talent also out there.
course.
Or it's a war of talents out there. So sometimes it can be faster, it can be shorter. For Bayer, I'll do a plug. We have a 1 day hiring on December 7. So we try to close it in 1 day. So if you're a person who wants to know already the result, then on December 7, we have a 1 day hiring for the different roles we have.
I'll send you my CV.
Best
Kidding.
time to poach each other. So
Anyways, yeah, I just want to plug in, no, before we wrap up this session. I heard from you that you're about to wrap it up. I think there's one question in the Q&A that we missed to answer, but I think is very important. It's one of our main drivers. Basically, we are a supporter of PWDs, basically, and there was a question if we do hire PWDs. Yes, Synchrony does hire PWDs, but just to a certain extent. Of course, it all depends on the capability of the person as well. Everybody has to be hired fairly at the same standards. But yes, we do hire PWDs in our company, and I'm sure all the other companies in this panel do hire PWDs as well.
I see.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Equal opportunities to everyone. I think that's the main
That's right.
message.
Right. I know there are still a lot of questions in there, and we have a very engaging set of attendees right now. I think to just sum it up, because we also have dedicated some speaking slots to some of to Synchrony and Bayer. For final words for our other panelists or for everyone in the group, one sentence of why should students apply with your organization. So if you're just given one sentence to ask students or tell students, what would it be? Why would they apply to your organization?
Yeah, I'll start from Michelle. So in Bayer, you can be you. So that's what we're looking for. You can be your authentic self, because we believe if you're authentic self, then you will really be part of something bigger, of solving the world's biggest problems for health and nutrition. So our vision is health for all, hunger for none. So if you want to be your authentic you, just join Bayer.
Thank you, Sam. And Sir Joey?
Yeah. Let me keep this short, no? If you do want to join our company, basically, please or no, just please join our company if you think you are if you think you are ready to get into the call center industry. We have been basically part of the top 2 in the Philippines for great places to work at. We are a caring company. We are employee centric, and we make as much benefits as possible for our employees to enjoy their life, and for their family as well to enjoy their lives. So if you do want to join a call center that is located in Alabang and in Cebu, just reach out and contact us. Thank you.
Thank you. And Miss Joyce?
Yes, I would like to invite everyone or anyone who's interested to join our company, because I would like you to enjoy the OBP advantage or the OBP culture. Now, delving into what I just mentioned, of course, we recognize and reward efforts and talent so much so that we have the certain rewards for it, like Employee of the Month. We have Team of the Month, Employee of the Year, MVP of the Month. We also have Employee of the Quarter. And mind you, in terms of the prizes are quite valuable. So we reward you with more experiences, like we provide trip to domestic locations that you would prefer, trip to Australia for the Employee of the Year from way back. But we do monetary rewards for now because of the pandemic. And of course, for the other candidates or the other employees, we do have performance evaluation. And if you reach a certain degree or you pass it, then definitely there's going to be corresponding increase. We offer loyalty program, allowances. We have a good compensation package. But most of all, I think what's important is that we are offering everyone here a place to excel, meaning to say you get to have your learning experience with us. We have our synergy sessions. We make sure that everyone is well equipped with all of the necessary skills that they would need for them to thrive in this aspect. And of course, we would want you to enjoy the fun working environment here. And most of all, in OBP, we're not just we're not yet that big, I would have to say that. But with that, we are quite aware of who the people are within the companies, and we treat everyone here as family. So that's what I would have to say. Okay, so I really hope to see some of you here soon.
Thank you, Miss Joyce. And Axel?
Yeah, for my final word, Inspiro, our cultural DNA is deeply rooted in malasakit. That's one of our mantra. You will feel you are really taken care of. The word for genuine care and concern. It is our driving force behind our corporate governance practices. It's spread throughout every interaction with our colleagues, clients, and even customers. So yeah, I hope you consider Inspiro as your future career company. We have multiple sites in Luzon. We have Makati, Quezon City, Mandaluyong, and Pasig. We have also 2 sites in Visayas. We have Iloilo and Dumaguete. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Axel. And last but not the least, Andre?
Thank you, from Cell. So Qiagen's mission statement is making improvements in life possible. And this is not just for our customers, for our stakeholders, but every single Qiagen or employee that we have, of course. Now, genuine malasakit is what we offer because of something quite simple, really. We have employees taking care of fellow employees. We recognize that at the end of the day, pare-parehas tayong nakikipagtrabaho. So we're able to take care of each other that way. So if you're looking for growth, if you're looking for an organization that genuinely takes care of its employees, and while providing job satisfaction altogether, and being part of something big, something bigger, much bigger than your career, which is making improvements in life possible, of course, then we welcome you to join our organization.